Hello. My project for the Biotechnology Design event focused on an analysis of allopathic and Ayurvedic COVID-19 treatment options with the goal of developing a potential combination therapy design. Beginning with, the aim of this study or project was to investigate various COVID-19 treatment options in both Western allopathic medicine and Eastern Ayurveda, and utilize the benefits of both of these branches of medicine to develop a potential combination therapy. The issue addressed with this study was the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic is global, it's killed millions worldwide, and has been going on for over a year at this point. However, the SARS-CoV virus is not the first human coronavirus. These viruses have been around for about 20 years and are highly pathogenic. The COVID-19 virus specifically, in most cases, is mild, causing cough or fever, myalgia, or extrapulmonary symptoms. However, it can become very severe in some cases, causing pneumonia, hypoxia, or severe acute respiratory disorder, even resulting in hospitalization, requires for some patients ventilators, and in some cases, death. However, there have been a lot of research and clinical trials done in relation to COVID-19 treatment, specifically on repurposing allopathic drugs that have previously been used for other diseases like malaria or even hepatitis C. And many of these trials have proven that certain of these repurposed drugs are very beneficial. However, on the other hand, in other parts of the world besides the United States, there has been a lot of emphasis on Ayurveda or natural remedies to help with COVID-19. And there have been records in various cases that for some patients, the Ayurvedic treatments have also been proven very successful. Because of the successes in both allopathic medicine and in Ayurvedic tradition in regards to COVID-19, my project focused on utilizing the benefits of both of these branches of medicine to develop a successful combination therapy design. However, first looking at the SARS-CoV-2 virus itself, SARS-CoV-2 virus is an RNA-based virus. It enters our cells through the ACE2 receptor. Once it is entered through the cells, it goes through the steps of the viral life cycle, such as translation, transcription, replication, and ultimately a mature virion through this cycle exits the cell and continues to infect the body. And the goal of especially the allopathic medicines is to inhibit this viral life cycle, to stop this virus from replicating and thereby stop the COVID-19 infection in the body. And now looking specifically at the allopathic and Ayurvedic treatment options or focus candidates that were focused on in this project. When I was determining what allopathic focus candidates would be the best or which ones to utilize in my combination therapies, I looked at the various clinical trials and saw which allopathic drugs would either inhibit parts of the viral life cycle or address many of the side effects or the symptoms of the COVID-19 virus. Many of these allopathic drugs primarily focus on inhibiting the viral life cycle, such as looking at hydroxychloroquine, which inhibits pH-dependent steps of the viral life cycle, or remdesivir, which inhibits RNA-dependent RNA polymerase by stopping RNA polymerase, which the COVID-19 virus needs because it is an RNA-based virus. You're thereby stopping the virus replication. But many of the other allopathic medicines also focused on symptoms of COVID-19, not necessarily just stopping a part of the viral life cycle. Statins, for example, are anti-inflammatory, and so is prednisone. And statins as well can prevent acute lung injury. Because of these benefits, although it's not directly for some of these allopathic treatments, it's not directly related to the viral life cycle, although many of them that I focused on were antivirals or did stop the virus life cycle. They do have other symptom relieving effects. You can also look at the chemical structures of these allopathic drugs, which will determine how they bond and how they affect the body. On the other hand, though, I also looked at the Ayurvedic treatment options. These Ayurvedic treatment options had a completely different focus than the allopathics. Ayurveda in general is more holistic. The Ayurveda, this ancient Eastern healing system, is actually based on 3 energy forms: Vata, energy of movement; Pitta, energy of digestion / metabolism; and Kapha, energy of lubrication. In Ayurveda, Ayurveda says that you need a balance of these 3 energies in order to be in good health. Based on this balance and based on the holistic viewpoint of Ayurveda, many of the Ayurvedic medicines work on boosting the body's overall immunity, the body's overall health and strength. When looking at which Ayurvedic treatment options to utilize in my combination therapies, I looked at, first of all, how these are helping the immune system fight against viruses, especially if they're antiviral, and also their respiratory responses, because COVID-19 does affect the respiratory system. Are these Ayurvedic medicines beneficial to the respiratory system, such as with Pipali Rasaiyana, it is able to rejuvenate lungs and respiratory health, or in biliary can assist in chronic cough or tuberculosis, which are very effective benefits to have in regards to COVID-19. But many of these Ayurvedic medicines I was researching were also antiviral, such as Ayushkwath or Ashwagandha. Just like with the allopathic medicines, keeping in mind what needs to be used or what needs to be done to stop COVID-19 or stop its symptoms, that was the main goal in determining which Ayurvedic or allopathic treatment options were utilized. And as you can see in the presentation, which ones I ended up deciding on to use. Finally, based on my research on both allopathic and Ayurveda, I developed 3 proposed combination therapies. These combination therapies are for the various severity of COVID-19, starting with a very mild to a more medium to a very severe. Starting with the most medium one, which would entail 1 allopathic and 1 Ayurvedic to have that equal response, is the first one, Remdesivir and Ayushkwath. You still have the allopathic to stop the virus, but you have the Ayushkwath to give that immune system support. And another added benefit with these Ayurvedic medicines is that many of them can help mitigate the side effects of the allopathics. That was another thing that I kept in mind when researching, is do these, when researching and when putting together these combination therapies, is that can these 2 work together to limit side effects, whether that be the symptoms of COVID-19 or even the symptoms of the allopathic? Can this Ayurveda address those side effects so that the body can be as healthy as possible when fighting this virus? So as mentioned earlier, Remdesivir and Ayushkwath, the 1+1 is sort of your middle ground. Then for much more milder COVID-19 cases, you have hydroxychloroquine, Pipali-Rasaiyana, and biliary, 1 allopathic and 2 Ayurvedic. So because the body is a bit stronger in those milder cases, you have the immune system support from the Ayurveda to allow the body to take the lead in fighting against this virus, but you still have that support, that virus inhibiting support of a allopathic. And yet again, Pipali Rasaiyana and biliary can address some of those side effects that hydroxychloroquine would cause, such as nausea or vomiting. And lastly, on the more severe end of COVID-19 cases, you need 2 allopathics and 1 Ayurvedic, such as written here, statins, Remdesivir, and Ashwagandha. You need those 2 allopathics because they will provide that direct and very close to instant virus relief. But you still have the Ashwagandha to support the body in such a severe state, because it does need that immune system support, even though here the allopathics are sort of taking the lead in fighting against the virus. In conclusion, though, I was able to develop 3 beneficial combination therapies through my research on both allopathic and Ayurvedic medicine. These therapies, of course, have not been tested yet. That will be the next step going forward, is to put these therapies into clinical trials and to determine whether they are actually effective or not against COVID-19. Although based on the research, they are very promising in their effectiveness. Because of this promising results, it can be concluded that the impact that this project can have on the society is most directly on the COVID-19 pandemic and in helping to end and mitigate this pandemic. Because through the use of these therapies, once they are tested, they can actually be used in hospitals on patients to help treat COVID-19 in a wide range of severity cases, not just for mild, but for your mild, medium, and most severe cases. You still have this therapy to rely on, and you can pick which one is best suited where. So thank you so much for listening to my design of COVID-19 combination therapies of allopathic and Ayurvedic medicines. Now I will move into the judge's interview portion of this video and talking about the first question of the ethics behind my project, or if I came into contact with any sort of ethical considerations or issues when doing my research or when designing. I would have to say that my project was fairly ethically favorable because I found no extremely pressing issues regarding ethics. Using Ayurveda, it's natural remedies, and allopathic drugs that are being repurposed have already been used in other circumstances. You already know that they're safe on the body, so there's not that ethical issue of, will these be safe on the body? Will we need to test on animals, or will we need to test on humans unethically to determine it? You already know that it's safe. And same thing for Ayurveda. This tradition has been used for hundreds of years, so you know that these remedies have been proven to be successful, and more importantly, to be proven safe from an ethical standpoint. Moving on to the second question regarding the interactiveness of my digital display and the difficulties that I faced when making it. I would say that one of the biggest difficulties was making this display individual to the user, to the audience, so that they had the freedom to choose how they would like to move through the display. In the display, when you come on to the main homepage slide, you can pick what portion you want to go to first. There are various links and extra resources linked on some of the slides, like to go watch this video or to go look at this database, and making sure that my viewers had this opportunity to not just move through the presentation sort of as one-way road, that you can only move from this slide to the next slide to the next, but having this flexibility to move back or to skip a section and to look at that first, or to click and go to a different video and then come back and then continue. Having that flexibility was important to me, but it was also the most difficult part in finding, those extra resources, or determining how even to make it so that you can move throughout it easily and in a way that is individual to you, that you don't need to follow a certain layout. And lastly, talking about the final judge's interview question about whether I made a model or a prototype and why I did or did not. I did not make a model or prototype for this design because I felt that it was not as beneficial, in that because I had made a theoretical design for a medicine utilizing Ayurvedic and allopathic medicines, I felt that with a prototype, I couldn't necessarily test my prototype because I don't have access to these drugs or to the virus itself to test how it will be against the coronavirus. And in addition to that, I felt that it's most effective for me to explain how these would work in the body and how they would be beneficial, rather than just simply having a display of, this is the Ayurvedic compound, or this is the allopathic drug. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation and for my judge's interview. And once again, thank you.